This morning looking over our harvest from the laundromat here. I just can't help but think, wow, the yellow exceeded my wildest expectations. I really think that's going to add such a nice touch, having that color right. Now the paint has dried overnight under a heating vent. Actually, this whole table is under a heating vent. And I've said this before, I think that fairing is just a really attractive. I like the look of the fairing, and I just love the color. Now you have to keep in mind, and I know this from having used this similar color in the past, this color, when you put the clear on, it changes to a much deeper color. So we're not going to be able to do any painting today. It's raining out there. So what I did while it's raining out there and I can't paint, I can't really do anything, I got rid of all of the cushions that were in the laundromat here, and we're pretty much ready to start hanging things up in the laundromat as soon as we get some time to paint. So I have to figure out how I want to use this day. It's going to be a tricky day to get what I want done, and what I can do while it's raining, and what I can do while it's not raining. And in the worst of all worlds, what I've been doing a little bit of each day is coming in here and doing some cleanup underneath and inside the fairing, and I'll do a little bit each day. And every day I get a lot of satisfaction out of just having a bike cleaned. And when we go to do the assembly, reassemble it, it won't be all greased out. But we are always subject to the weather. And this time of year, and it's why I do the restorations in the winter. Every day is an adventure, and every day is different. There are no groundhog days in the winter. So thinking about all the options while I had my coffee, I guess the first thing that I can do is pull off all the masking tape and get a look at what the fender and the fairing look like. And then hopefully the next day we get a chance, I can get one coat of clear on this just to see what the color is really going to look like. So the first thing I want to do, I always want to just warm the tape up just a little bit. It's really cool in the shop. Really not important if you live in a warm weather climate, but here it can get chilly at night. And the shop, of course, is is not heated like to its max. Anyway, I wanted to see what this would look like, and boy, I'm looking forward to seeing what this yellow is going to look like if I can get a coat of clear on in the next couple days. I mean, if it ever, we never know if it's ever going to stop this crazy on and off rain that we've been having. Now I always have the little spots here that, and again, a little bit of heat always helps the tape come off smoothly and not leave any of the little tape residue that you can have from time to time. This is a trick from the world of modeling. When you pull off any tape, if you have an ordinary credit card, and you don't have to be aggressive about this, you do it very gently on about a 45-degree angle. I call it shaving, and what it does, if you looked real close, I don't have a good macro lens, but all these little shavings at the edge of this, you just need to do it one way, come back and do it the other way. It cleans up. You never want to use sandpaper, or you'll mottle the colors. Now are very delicate, they don't have any clear on them. But what this does, when you get to the final analysis, the last coat of clear where you're sanding it down with very fine paper, it makes it a lot easier if you spend 10 minutes now, 5-10 minutes now, and get rid of that edge that's on from the paint, from the tape being pulled up off the paint. Because I'm really fussy about things like this, there was a spot, I guess I had just touched a razor blade or I touched my fingernail in there, left a little glitch in the white. Well, now to reshoot that white, I got to do a lot of backmasking, of course. But the point is this: once I put clear on here, it'll be more difficult to get that right, because right now I still have the ability to get that. I just hit that with some 600 sandpaper. I'll run a tack rag over it, and I'll shoot the white over. And I don't even want to accept little glitches in the paint now. Right now, touching this up, I know a lot of people think it's probably, you know, they say, oh, you never have any of these mistakes. I never pull off the tape or never had any problems. Everything's even. No, what I do, and it's really like cheating, is every step of the way I look around for little spots. Maybe I hit my fingernail, the belt buckle, the spray gun, and obviously I did something right there that, now, most people would say, oh, just take a little brush and touch it up. Well, this is a project I really want to be as good as I can make it. And it's going to require an extra 10 minutes of work, 15 minutes of work, and we're just going to have to do it. I'm going to have to do it in the back room because it's still raining out there. Okay, so that's going to have to dry now. But we got rid of one little glitch, one little spot that I would have been looking at for a long time, and I don't like looking at little glitches. As I look over this part, I see up here, and you never know how you had these things happen. A bug flies in, dust, dirt. If you have $1 million spray booth, or you have you know, other things at your disposal, you minimize this, but you never really totally eliminate it. I have even looked at the videos of Ammo NYC, and 5 steps into painting the car, they're still fixing little flaws. Well, you know what? That's how you get it as good as you possibly can. So this is an area, before I take the backmasking off, again, if we had a sprayable day, I would, you know, probably be out there putting a clear on this stuff. But of course I always try to use this to my advantage. I don't want to wet sand this. I don't want to get water all over it. But there is a little, hard to describe what this is, but anybody that paints knows. There's just a little imperfection in the paint there. And while I have the back room all stunk up with paint, and Karen hasn't gotten a gun and tried to come down here and shoot me yet, I could touch this up. Once I pull the backmasking off, then I gotta go back and do it over. So being fussy every step of the way is just such a good investment. Now see, I can touch that up now. I'll look around the whole part for any other little parts that need to be addressed, but even fixing these little flaws now will be so worth it in the final job. To be patient, because I have to do it in the back room, just getting like an airbrush amount of yellow on there. I don't want to repaint the whole part, but I want to go over the whole part. The point is, while I'm doing this, and any little spot that I can see that's going to show, I want to address it right now. And that's always good to do that before you pull off the backmasking. Now with those touch-ups done and with the heating vent on, because of course it's cold, that should dry up. That later today I can take off the tape, see how my touch-ups have come out. It's always good to wait at least an hour for this to dry up. But in the meantime, I thought what I'd do is work on one of Turbo Steve's parts that's going to need a lot of work. Now this part here had some real contamination issues on it, so I want to try something just to see if it'll work, because it's not a good paintable day. I'll spend the day grinding away on this, but I want to try something that I haven't done before and see if it works. For sure, but what it looks like has happened is there's oil underneath the primer, so what I did, I mixed up, instead of using Dawn, I mixed up the sanding fluid with Simple Green, and I'm going to shoot some straight Simple Green on there, because what I want to do is dissolve the grease and get it to flow away. I don't want to, I'm hopefully not going to have to go back all the way down to plastic, but I need to get it to where I have a clean coat of primer that oil isn't coming up. And this may be a bigger job than I thought it was, but it's a good day to do it today. There certainly are a lot of ways, this is ordinary Simple Green, certainly a lot of ways to deal with fish eyes. The easiest way of all is just not to have the contamination that caused the fisheye, whether it's silicone from your hand or from what. Now this is a thing of 220 paper. I really want to grind in there, and that's Simple Green and Simple Green mixed with water. And I want to see if I'm going to be able to get all of this out of here. Let's hope I can. But what I'll do is I'll sand the whole part down and reprime the whole part until I see that I have clean primer with nothing coming through. And I know for sure, if you paint over primer that looks like it has oil coming through, you absolutely are going to be sorry you did it somewhere down the road, because you're going to The paint's not going to stick the way it should. And besides, this part, this is a good day to do this part. We have some cracks in here we have to address. I think this part had some other work. I got to look it over real quick. But the biggest one is this oil. And now I think what happened, I think there's just some, who knows what, you know, because it's down the bottom, maybe the oil from an oil change or something wound up staying on here. Or when Steve prepped the parts, it could be he wasn't real aggressive about doing it. Now, I try to be real aggressive because I know somewhere down the road I'm going to pay the price if I don't get this taken care of right now. But this is the thing now, I always try to use up a day like this. I always call these days a no paint day, unless the weather changes in the next couple hours. When it's drizzling, you really can't plan anything. Anyway, I'm going to see what this looks like. Now there's several other choices I have to, but the best of course is going to be if I can get this ground down. I got to fix that right up there. I see there's a crack up there. So what I'm going to do is off camera just keep grinding away at this until I get anywhere that, let's see this side. This side doesn't look too bad, but I want to grind the whole part anyway. It's this side that looked the worst, and it has a crack right here that we have to fix with some carbon fiber. Here is the crack in Steve's part. You can see what I can do is just by moving it, I can spread it that it opens up. So before I do any more sanding on this, the first thing I want to do, get a heat gun and get this part warm, and it'll dry up any moisture that's in there. Now what I want to do is spread this apart so that the heat gets in there. Now I want to spread the part and just drop in a little thin CA. Because the thin CA is capillary, it's going to go right in there. Let's hope. Now Steve repaired this, it looks like, from the back, but I don't think he repaired it from the front. This should do it. And we'll just let that dry before we go on to more sanding. Okay, I laid in a little extra patch of the CA where that crack was. There's a crack down here. I'll put a little thin CA in this, just try to build up. Looks like this has been repaired in several other places. Now Steve does know how to do these CA repairs, so this is not a critical thing here, but I just don't want that to come popping through the paint if possible. Every one of these parts presents a little bit different challenge, but now we're just going to wait. It looks like it's stopping raining, but it's still drizzling. Once it stops raining, we can get a coat of primer on there. I don't want to prime a part this big inside the house. The touch-ups are okay, but not these big parts. I'm tack ragging this down. Karen told me the drizzling stopped about 20 minutes ago, so maybe we can sneak in and get this painted. Would be nice. Send Steve a picture of this after it's been upgraded here to, well, we hope anyway. It even looks like the sun might be coming out after all this. What we're always doing here is primer sealer, not just primer, primer sealer. Well, it looks like that the simple green got rid of most of, maybe all of, in fact we're going to let it dry. Let it dry a good hour or so. We're coming up on lunchtime anyway. Assuming it doesn't rain this afternoon, we'll try to get a coat of white on this. I always like to check how things are drying up out here. Alright, assuming the sun comes out or it's decent later this afternoon, we'll be able to get the white on that. And I think we've got the fish eyes on that part solved. Hopefully. Alright, so I'm back in the shop and I'm thinking, how could I use this time productively? I want to get the little touch-up areas on the yellow fairing, because it's not raining now. I can get that done. And whenever you're working on multiple projects, there's always something drying, always something waiting to be sanded, always some primer waiting to go. That project table is always, it's very busy this time of year. That's great. We got all the touch-up areas on that done, and put that aside to dry. So here we are. All the little touch-ups are done that I wanted to do today. It's up by the heating vent, and even though it's not drizzling anymore, what's happened is it's really getting cold. The temperature's dropping by the minute out there. Day like today, you never know where it's going. It's so unpredictable. The weather was changing, it was drizzling, it's not drizzling, the sun looks like it's coming out, it never came out, it just got colder and colder and colder. So, you never really know. And I guess part of the adventure of doing any restoration is you never know. Every day plays out differently, every day. Now even after all this, there's still a little spot I want to touch up. And it's these touch-ups. And from watching, you know, I've done this for years, of course, going back to the model airplane years. But what I noticed is when I do these, like Ammo NYC things where guys are really doing high-end finishing, they always have these little touch-ups, and they do them all along the way, not just at any one spot. So I need to really just dress this off. Now, I'm not sure anybody would even see this, but I'll see it. That's always the answer. Now, because Karen goes to art classes, luckily she donates all her old little touch-up brushes to me, an awful lot of them. What you really need is a little tiny brush to do these touch-ups. Three coats of white, and that's ready to go into the garage to dry. You can see from far away even, that part's going to be fine. Not a fisheye in the house. So that worked out well. Very happy for Steve for that part. That really worked out great. One final thing I'd like to do, pull the masking tape off of the ferry and just get a look at how it's looking. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a very unpredictable day. We got something done on both projects. That always gives me a good feeling at the end of the day. Now between the fender and between this, when I put them both together at some point in time when we assemble a bike, I think that's really going to look nice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.